Before we start the meeting, a couple of quick public service announcements. For an emergency, please note the exits on either side of the chambers and proceed down the stairs. Bathrooms are located out the door to my left, women's room to the right, men's room to the left. We allow 30 minutes for public speaking. If you have not done so, please sign up at the podium. Please note that the council has rules of decorum for our meetings, including the public speaking portion. We ask that respect be shown to all, whether they serve on the council, on the staff, or are here as public members. As noted on the signage, we do not allow weapons of any sort, signs mounted on wood, metal, or similar material, or signs larger than 19 by 24. This will help guarantee that we follow the open meeting law. Not only are we here tonight to listen to the voices of the public, but we are also here to run government proceedings. To best serve us all, we cannot have any distractions. When a speaker is addressing the council, no disruptions are permitted. This includes talking over, yelling, and clapping. When this body proceeds with the day's business, we also need no disruptions. As per open meeting law, section 103, interruption of a speaker or government proceedings will not be tolerated. After one warning, anyone interrupting a speaker or the proceedings of today's meeting will be removed from chambers. I am now calling this Common Council meeting to order at 7:37 p.m. on July 1st, 2025. If you are able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. You may be seated. May I please have roll call?
Alderman Pasty,
Here.
Alderman Tierney,
Here.
Alderman Scott Childress,
Here.
Alderman Edwards,
Here.
Alderman Mickens,
Here.
Alderman Dennison, Alderman Andrews, Alderman Shabbat,
Here.
Alderman Hirsch.
Here. We have a quorum. Can I have a motion to dispense with the minutes of the previous meeting and approve same motion by Steve Shabbat, second by Rennie Scott Childress? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. Can I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the general bills? Motion by Rennie Scott Childress, second by Jeannie Edwards. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. We now enter into the public speaking portion of the meeting. We have allotted 30 minutes for this purpose. Speakers will have 3 minutes. Please be aware that I will give a verbal 30-second warning. If there are remaining speakers after 30 minutes, I will call for a motion from the council to extend the period for another 30 minutes. Speakers, direct your comments to the chair, as council members cannot engage in debate during this time. Please state your name and address on the record before you begin. There could be no distractions from the audience in chambers or on Zoom when a speaker addresses the council. The Common Council has also received written comments for our consideration, and they could be found on the city's website under tonight's agenda. May I please have the first speaker?
Jesse Adler.
Thank you. My name is Jesse Adelar. I live at 28 Green Street. I rise in support of Resolution 113 to extend parking prohibitions 75 feet southerly along Green Street from the corner of Maiden. Support of this resolution actually speaks against my own personal interest because I live on that very corner, and I live in a house that doesn't have a driveway. I've parked many times in that area that will now be prohibited. That said, we have had numerous incidents where trucks trying to navigate that corner ride over the curb and damage private and public property, including the newly accessible curb cuts installed by the city. As it currently stands, it's physically impossible for a tractor trailer to navigate that corner while cars are parked on either side because there simply isn't enough room to navigate. This is evidenced by a video I provided Alderman Tierney of a tractor trailer attempting to navigate that corner approximately 10 minutes, damaging trees on either side of the street, riding over the newly installed curb, and even hitting and damaging the fire hydrant on Green and Maiden. The driver eventually gave up and drove in reverse down Maiden Lane to take a different street. I think we can agree that a tractor trailer reversing down a residential street is unsafe. I'm happy to make this video available to any members that haven't had a chance to review it. I do understand that parking is scarce in this city, particularly uptown. I experience this personally. However, this is a matter of public safety and protection of city and private property, which seems to me to be a higher priority than the loss of a handful of parking spaces. Ladies and gentlemen of the Common Council, thank you for your time, and thank you, Alderman Tierney, for bringing this matter to the attention of the Common Council.
Thank you. That is our only speaker, and we have nobody signed up on Zoom. Is there anybody else who would like to speak? Hearing no one else, I will close the public speaking portion of the meeting. We now enter into claims and communications. Hearing no discussion, they will be on file in the clerk's office. Can I get a motion to dispense with the second reading of the general bills and pay same? Motion by Rennie Scott Childress, second by Drew Andrews. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is adopted 9-0. We're now entering into the report of committees, starting with resolution number 106.
Resolution 106 of 2025. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, recommending approval for modifications to the 2025 Office of Grants and Management budget.
On the question? Hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 107, please.
Resolution 107 of 2025. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, to fully fund SNAP and SNAP Ed.
On the question, Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to thank the Live Well Commission for bringing this resolution to fully fund SNAP forward. SNAP is a federal program. It's the Supplemental Nutritional Assistance Program. And 1 in 10 Ulster County residents rely on this to feed their family. That includes households with children, elderly, and people with disabilities. In some Kingston census tracts, 26% of our population qualifies for this assistance. Today, Senate Republicans passed their big ugly bill, and what we are actually doing is stealing from the poor to feed the rich. And this, what they are leading us to believe will benefit us, is actually going to be adding $3.3 trillion to our debt, national debt, for 10 years. So locally, I think the city, we need to commit dollars to food pantries as much as we can. I'm going to ask residents and community members to also host food drives to give donations to our food pantries, and if possible, please consider monetary donations to the Hudson Valley Food Bank because they will be needing this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 108, please.
Resolution 108 of 2025. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, issuing a Type 2 action determination in connection with the Forsyth Nature Center Storage Building project in the State Environmental Quality Review Act, the seeker process pursuant to 6 NYCRR Section 617.5.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 109, please.
Resolution 109 of 2025. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, determining that the Kingston Community Skate Park project is an unlisted action pursuant to 6 NYCRR Part 617 and declaring its intent to serve as lead agency under the coordinated review and prompt the city clerk to circulate notice of intent to serve as lead agency to involved and interested parties.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 110, please.
Resolution 110 of 2025. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the expenditure of the City of Kingston's annual 2025-2026 New York State DOT CHIPS, PAVE New York, EWR, and POP allocation.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 111, please.
Resolution 111 of 2025, an ordinance amending an ordinance in relation to the traffic on the public streets of the City of Kingston, New York, adding handicap parking on Hone Street.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to Resolution 112, please.
Resolution 112 of 2025, an ordinance amending an ordinance in relation to the traffic on the public streets of the city of Kingston, New York, removing handicap parking on Elmendorf Street.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. Here, all in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to Resolution number 113, please.
Resolution 113 of 2025, an ordinance amending an ordinance in relation to the traffic on the public streets of the city of Kingston, New York, adding no parking signs and parking prohibited signs on Green Street, 75 feet from the corner of Maiden Lane on both sides of the street.
On the question, Alderwoman Terrell Mickens.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Well, I am a no on this resolution. While I understand that there have been a number of crashes and accidents causing damage to the city hydrant, a curb cut, a tree, a newly installed sidewalk, the accidents are in the main caused by tractor-trailer traffic. According to neighbors that I've spoken with that have lived at this intersection for over 10 years, they expressed the fact that they have spoken with the truck drivers and and the truck drivers themselves find themselves in the unfortunate position of having to make a left at the intersection of Maiden Lane and Green Streets. Tractor trailers are being routed down Maiden Lane and Green Street by GPS, looking to find their way to Route 32. The 90-degree turn that is incredibly hard to negotiate, and in so doing, cause the damage that my colleague points to as problematic. But creating a larger problem for residents in this neighborhood is not a solution. This resolution seeks the removal of 3 parking spaces from a neighborhood whose housing is over 75% multifamily. Parking is extremely scarce, as noted by the speaker, and the only neighbors that, to my mind, would support the removal of the parking spaces do so because they have their own dedicated private parking spaces, but for the speaker's situation. Another issue that I find unsupportable is the fact that Green Street, Maiden Lane is a direct tributary to the Uptown Commercial District and particularly to the farmers market. Longtime residents have told me that there is absolutely no parking on the weekends and that the loss of 3 spaces would be highly impactful. Additionally, I am concerned that visitors and tourists would be compelled to drive around Uptown, polluting the environment while looking for additional parking spaces. We've all seen or done it. I think there are better, more imaginative solutions. That one would be to install signage at the traffic circle, directing tractor-trailer drivers to Route 32. List the weight tolerance to alert tractor-trailer drivers, which then might trigger a change in GPS, or institute single-sided parking as opposed to alternate side of the street parking, which again overly burdens the working class and poor folks living in this neighborhood, exposing them to tickets and having to move their vehicles. While I understand that the resolution has the support of the city engineer, I don't think all perspectives are being considered. This resolution, in my opinion, lacks imagination and the best interests of the neighborhood. For all those reasons, I am a no.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderwoman Sarah Pasty.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I came into this meeting thinking that I was going to vote no, because I know that there is a shortage of parking space there, and I take Maiden Lane all the time when I come from where I live to Broadway. It's sort of a way that I get to Broadway. And the speaker here reminded me when he talked about cars having to back up on Maiden Lane because there was an obstruction at the corner of Maiden Lane. And it reminded me that twice in the last 3 months, I have also had to back up on Maiden Lane, and it was not a tractor trailer at the corner. It was really just a delivery truck, but because the cars were so congested at that corner, the delivery truck was not able to turn. And I was behind that delivery truck, and so I had to back all the way up. So I know that that is a tricky corner because I negotiate that all the time. So I am going to change my vote, and I thank the speaker for speaking and reminding me of my own experiences on that street. So I am going to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderwoman Jeannie Edwards.
I would be a no on that. 3 spots is a lot, especially in Uptown Kingston there, because we have a lot of people from Maiden Lane, Green Street that are parking towards Clinton Avenue, Center Street, and it's really taken up a lot. So I'm a no on it.
Thank you. Anyone else? Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch?
Thank you, Madam President. I will be a yes on the removal of the 3 parking spaces. I do believe we need to get some kind of situation under control with the trucks, and hopefully in the future, then those spaces can be returned. But I agree with the alderman's decision and the engineer's decision. I will be a yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone? Alderman Drew Andrews?
So I'm
sorry.
going to be a no on this because I feel that both of them have done research, spoken to the residents in the area, and I think a community survey, this should be brought back to the council, well, to the committee, and possibly take a community survey to gather more input from both sides and decide what the real needs are. I've been uptown during, different festivals or farmers market, and uptown don't need any loss of parking. We need to learn how to navigate and redirect traffic. I think that's what's needed right now. So that's what I'm gonna go over now.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, hearing no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Can you raise your hands just so I can make sure we're getting the right count? All in favor? That's 6 in favor and opposed. 3. So 6-3 is the vote. The dissents are Jeannie Edwards, Terrell Mickens, and Drew Andrews. So resolution 113 is passed, 6-3. Moving to resolution 114, please.
Resolution 114 of 2025. An ordinance amending an ordinance in relation to the traffic on the public streets of the city of Kingston, New York, adding no left turn on East St. James Street, heading southeast on Broadway.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 115, please.
Resolution 115 of 2025, memorializing resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, urging the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to initiate the rulemaking process and establish new regulations under 6 NYCRR Parts 360 and 363 for the on-site treatment and disposal of landfill leachate.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 116, please.
Resolution 116 of 2025. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for a water quality improvement project grant in the amount of up to $400,000 for the purchase of a sweeper truck and to execute any and all related documents.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution number 117, please.
Resolution 117 of 2025. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the New York State Department of State for local waterfront revitalization program grant in the amount of up to $2 million for the Upper Gallo Park Improvements Project and to execute any and all related documents.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 118, please.
Resolution 118 of 2025. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation for a Climate Smart Communities grant in the amount of up to $500,000 for the Roundout Creek Flood Protection and Emergency Preparation Project and to execute any and all related documents.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. Moving to resolution 119, please.
Resolution 119 of 2025. Resolution of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, authorizing the mayor to submit an application to the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation for an Environmental Protection Fund grant in the amount of up to $675,000 for the Upper Gallo Park Improvements Project and to execute any and all related documents.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Resolution is adopted 9-0. We're now moving to the local law number 4, which is the second reading, so we will then have a subsequent vote.
Local Law 4 of 2025 of the Common Council of the City of Kingston, New York, amending Chapter 405 zoning, the Kingston Form Base Code.
On the question, hearing no discussion, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Local law is adopted 9-0, and that concludes our communications. Before we wrap up our meeting, does anybody have anyone they would like to close in memory of? Alderwoman Michelle Hirsch.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to close in honor of Jamie Hogan, who was a 41-year-old mother who lived on West Chestnut Street since 2022. She and her husband moved here when her daughters were about 6 months old, and she had another baby and found out that she had stage 4 colon cancer. And the last few years have just been devoted to her care. And she lost her battle with cancer this past Friday. So I just want to extend my condolences to the family. Another ward member, Jessica Schlanger, has taken up a GoFundMe to help the family. So I will pass that on, but our thoughts are with them at this time. Thank you.
Anyone else? And I will take a motion to adjourn. Motion by Rennie Scott Childress, second by Drew Andrews. All in favor? We hereby stand adjourned until the next regularly scheduled meeting on Tuesday, August 5th, 2025 at 7:30 p.m.